Hello, I'm Wayne Maguire. Welcome to Property Success New Zealand, where each week I bring to you the experts who share their knowledge and wisdom with you. And on this week's show, we have Pat from the Property Press, who has consolidated some stylish apartment offerings, and we'll ask him, is there demand for these? Now, once your house is sold, the next step is moving. Steve from New Zealand Movers will tell us what questions to ask to achieve a safe and secure move. And let's have a look at this week's auction. Now, I know everybody is saying the Auckland market is changing, so let's see if we sell this one. Amy from Wealthworks, who will make you think about yield versus capital growth and about investing in a safe way. Our salesperson of the week is Lawrence from Ray White Mission Bay, who does more than just sell, and he can do it in more than one language, and this opens up to an interested international market. That's all on Property Success New Zealand today. Well, joining us now is Pat. Pat, welcome back. It's great having you back on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here, Wayne.
Thank you. And I think today you've got something very exciting for us, a new feature that you've got there in the Property Press.
We have, Wayne. What we've noticed in recent times has been some wonderful new residential developments going on around the place, not just in Auckland. We won't make this Auckland-centric, but around the country.
Wider than just Auckland?
Yeah, but in particular in Auckland in this example today. So we thought once a month we would have a development feature so that the readers can have a look at some of the beautiful new residential apartment blocks and residential living options that are open to them. So once a month we will run this, and you'll see most of this is Auckland, but here we are. Here's a Queenstown development that looks really, really beautiful, and so the price is there. So it's aspirational for people looking to downsize or move from a standalone home into an apartment living style.
And these are spread out across Auckland? They're not just in the centre of town also?
No, the apartments themselves or the developments themselves are Epsom. This would be Grey Lynn. There's some of them are central Auckland, but others around the general area.
Beautiful marketing, you know, that's just superior. That's absolutely stunning. Now, great marketing is one thing, but the demand for this product, for these apartments, what's your pick on that, Pat?
Let me show you our recent research that we've been relying on in the last couple of episodes. The definite buying and selling intentions across New Zealand gives us a clear picture of the supply and demand status.
Sure.
So you'll see nationally there is a wide gap between people who are saying, research respondents who are saying, I'm definitely looking to buy, and then versus those I'm definitely looking to sell. So there is a very wide gap, and when we look at Auckland,
look at that.
there's a widening gap. Back in 2012, 2013, nationally we had about equilibrium across New Zealand, but Auckland is just stretching out further and further. Looking at Wellington, we see that there's the lines on the graph run roughly parallel the trend lines, but there's a widening gap now between I am definitely looking to buy and definitely looking to sell. Similarly, Christchurch is a little different picture here where in 2012...
You'd understand that, wouldn't you? Yes. That one's going to be different.
The supply and demand was almost equal there. Now, all of a sudden, the definitely looking to buy spiked in 12 and 13. Now it's come back to around equilibrium with again a small gap appearing between I'm definitely looking to buy and definitely looking to sell. Now the significance of this is what it's going to do to values of properties. If there's a shortage of properties, i.e. more people in the market looking to buy versus looking to sell, that will always underpin the value of existing properties.
The demand on there. So you've got a great product there, getting these apartments out and putting them together so the marketplace can come to that publication and find the apartments. And then you've got the research in behind stacking up saying, and there's some exceptional gaps sitting there, isn't there, which is the demand on buying versus the people who are saying we're coming to the market.
Yes, absolutely there are. In Auckland, this gap between the buy and sell is 29,100 houses, which is roughly in accord with other figures being bandied about of 30-odd thousand houses short in Auckland. So there it is right there. It's almost down to the last 100.
Wow. So, okay, so the research is spot on.
Yes.
You'd almost only have to show that to a homeowner today to say, is it a good time to come into the market? And the answer would be 100%, definitely. Even though there's a bit of flux in the market today, that gap is still substantial.
Well, it's the old economics way, and it's economics 101. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're selling gold, milk powder, petroleum, if the demand exceeds the supply, then it's going to underpin the current values.
Yeah, fantastic. The basis for this research, Pat, where's this come from? And what else have you got in there?
We have Horizon Research conduct these every 6 months for us.
Gotcha.
Further sign of credibility of these findings is that it's quite well known in New Zealand that there's a 60-40 split between homeowners and non-homeowners. So again, our research shows it almost down to the 0.1%. There's 51% of people own a home in New Zealand, another 7% own residential rental property in New Zealand, and there's another 3% that I'm the beneficiary of a trust that owns a home. So there's the 60%.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Pat. It's great seeing the feature, it's great seeing the research, it's great seeing that your thumbnail calculation matches the data. It all makes sense as we come through. Pat, again, as always, thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here, Wayne.
Thank you. Well, joining us now is Steve. Steve is the Group Marketing Manager for New Zealand Movers. Steve, great having you here. Steve, you really come in at the end of our job, I guess. We've sold the house and the champagne's been drunk, and then it comes to the reality of now we need to move. So, Steve, with your great experience, what should people be thinking about with regards to choosing a mover? What are the important points there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Wayne. There's several things that they need to consider when selecting a moving company. First and foremost is how long have they been in business. So you really need to be dealing with somebody that has got experience in moving, that their packers and their drivers are all very experienced.
Yep.
You know, it's people's personal effects and it's precious items.
Well, it's everything, isn't it? You're
Yes.
handing over your whole house, you know. It's not behind locked doors. You're handing everything over to this company.
That's right, and so it is important, you know, things for argument's sake, like how modern is their fleet, how up to date, and so because that can have an effect on the efficiencies and transit times, etc. Other things to consider are their storage facilities.
Okay, so that makes sense, because it's lovely if the move goes from A to B in one hit, but I guess you would see a lot of instances where it's in transit or it's held for a period of time, or maybe even just put into storage.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And that applies whether somebody's moving just around Auckland or moving around the country, or actually moving internationally. So, you know, it's really important, I think, for people to be aware of where their goods are going to be stored. Is it secure? Are they modern facilities? And of course, that leads on to the issue of insurance, etc. as well.
Now that's going to be a big aspect, isn't it? So thoughts on insurance, what would you say to somebody now about insurance and what they should be considering with that?
Yeah, I think insurance, it is a very important consideration, and a lot of companies don't like to talk about it because it's obviously the negative side of it that, you know, something might go wrong. But obviously, yeah, it needs to be in place. And for argument's sake, we're with Vero Marine.
Okay.
And they're a division
well-known name.
Yeah, Vero New Zealand Limited. You know, it's a very robust policy that we have in place for people so that they can actually have the peace of mind that their goods are going to be covered in the event of an issue.
So choose somebody who is reliable, the team is experienced, they know what they're doing, the fleet is going to get from A to B, in one piece. They know how to store along the way if that is a requirement. And they give you good advice also on that insurance, or certainly put in front of you a package that they can choose from. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, do you see or have you seen any changes in the migration patterns? Is there a migration pattern? Is that the right terminology?
Well, yes, there is, and I've been involved in the industry 20 plus years, and there's been lots of sort of changes in the migration patterns over that time. At the moment, we're seeing very slow numbers leaving the country. So, of course, you know, our traditional...
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes. I think New Zealand's a very good place to be living in at the moment, and that's certainly affected the number of people moving to Australia, which is traditionally a big market for us, or for all moving companies.
So that's dropped, the number of
Yes,
people leaving New
yes.
Zealand heading to Australia?
That's right. Yeah, quite dramatically. It was possibly 4 or 5 times higher 3 to 4 years
Wow.
ago. That's
Okay.
that recently. At the moment, it's running pretty even. People moving to Australia and people coming back, but it's slightly in favour of people coming to New Zealand. So that's quite a major thing at the moment. And then internally, we're seeing slow movement around the country, but we're seeing quite a number of people moving out of Auckland, which is an interesting factor. Yes.
Is that because we've cashed up in Auckland and we've now got a pot of gold, and
Yeah.
around the rest of the country it's more attractive, I guess?
Yes, I think that's dead right, and we're seeing a lot of moves. Auckland to Northland, Auckland to Bay
Okay.
of Plenty,
Yep.
Waikato, those sort
Yep.
of areas. So out the outskirts of Auckland, but I think it's better buying, obviously, as we
Yes.
all know, and
Yep.
I think you're probably right. Cashing up, baby boomers moving to the country.
Heading to the country.
That's right.
Consistent with what I'm hearing from real estate agents, whether they're Hamilton, Northland, in fact I was up there on the weekend, or even the guys back in the Bay of Plenty, that demand is coming out of Auckland.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. So if it's an international move and not a domestic move, what other considerations should the homeowner be thinking about?
Yes, one of the most important considerations, Wayne, is who is going to be handling their goods at the other end. So if they're moving to Australia, moving to the UK or further afield,
Yep.
it's really important to know who is looking after their shipment when it arrives there.
At the other end?
At the other
okay.
end, yes. And New Zealand Movers, we pride ourselves on our relationships with our overseas partners. They're all accredited members of FEDI and other associations that are very important, like BAR in the UK is very important as well. So you just know the service and reliability is going to be there at the other end.
Okay, fantastic. So we add those considerations on top of the first considerations,
Yes.
even if it's domestic. Gotcha.
Yes.
Look, really appreciate that. I think that's great advice to anybody there. You need to deal with a professional. There is the value, obviously, straight away from what they add. And interesting with your migration patterns, consistent with what we're seeing in the business also. So, Steve, great having you on. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so here we go. We're just about to step into the auction. We've got 2 up on tonight, and they're both in the same complex as such, so 2 apartments. Now, we might show both, or we might just show one of them, depending how hard and how long I have to work. I will have to work hard on these ones, but they are a great offering. So I'm expecting that the bidding will get underway. It may go through to the fall of the hammer. I might have to stop and negotiate. So really interested to see how this one runs. So let's go and do it, and then we'll come back and debrief afterwards. Don't be shy, buyers. In your hands now, looking for that opening bidder offer. Where are you comfortable? Where would you like your auction to start, buyers? Opening bid?
550.
550, happy to take your 550, and at 550 I'll take 10s right from the word go. At $550,000 now, look for the 10 bid now, look for the rise on that. 550 with my starter now. 15 the bid now, 615 it is now. What do we do on top of that, ma'am? At 615, new bidder in now, 3 on the properties. At 615,000, 20 the bid now, 4th bidder in. First call at 635,000. Might need instructions, John. Second call at 635,000. Are we all done? All silent. 636. 637. Looking for the call on that at 640,000. 3 calls. First call at 640,000. 1,000. 641. 641. It's still in the hunt. Traveling in the thousands. 641. We've got it there now. Might make his decision easy, sir. At $641,000 now. Look to call us 3 times. Standing with my starter. First call at 641,000. Second call at 641,000. Third and final. We all done. All silent. We pause. One quick pause. I'll come and have a chat to you straight away. I'm going to talk to the owner also. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. I'll confirm that bid, 641,000. Good time to say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. At $641,000, John, what do we do?
We are selling, Wayne.
Here we go. We're on the market now. Very clearly, buyers, we're on the market. We're looking to sell. At $641,000 now, I sell away. Happy to take any rise on that. Happy to take those thousands again, or go stronger if you like it. 645. There we go. Straight into the 645,000. First call at 646,000. Second call third and final. Are we all done? All silent. I look down, seated to my buyers. 646, I've got it there now. Decision time, do we go again? 647 in for 1,000, 647. Oh, 647 and a half, easy with that. Happy to take your 500 then. 650, strong bid, round it off. We're on the evens now. It's 650,000 to the halfway mark. Look for the rise on that. Go strong, guys. 650, good bid. First call at 650,500. Second call at 650,000 and a half. I double check. Do we bid again? Appreciate that. If you are, you need to call it out, otherwise I do sell away. Won't take a late bid, buyers. Happy to take another one. Otherwise, standing there with my starter, we have it, $650,500. First call. Second, third and final, selling away. We are going. We sell away, congratulations, well done. Here we go, straight into it then, buyers, no delay, no need to delay. Opening bidder offer, where would you like the auction on this one to start? 520, happy to take your 520, we'll just travel in tens again now. At $520,000 now, look for the $10,000 bid now. Starter's got it at 520 now, look for the rise. First call, 30 the bid now, and it's bidder in. At $530,000 now, 40 the bid now, 540 and 50 straight back. At 550, 60 the bid now, and 70 the bid now, 570 at the back of the room now. First call at 625,000. Second call at 625,000. Third and final, all done, all silent. Oh, you're still quiet. No problem. No, I pause. I'm still working. We'll step off to one side. We're going to have a very quick chat, and then I'm going to have a chat to the owner also. Buyers, give me a second, and I'm going to come back and restart your auction. Guys, do you want to come and join me, and we'll jump in here and have a chat? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. Oh, that's nice with the air conditioning going now. Happy with the improved bid there. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the work. Here we go on the market, selling away, buyers. You know we now sell to the highest bidder. At $630,000 now for the one of another bid. I look to sell away. First call at $630,000. Might be ours now. I double check. Do we bid again? Appreciate that. Thank you very much. At $630,000. First call. Second call. Third and final. All done. All silent. We are going. We sell, congratulations, well done. All right, so there we go. That was pretty exciting. It was actually hot work in there. I was pretty pleased when the air conditioning went on. So 2 apartments up, they're in the same complex. So we had interested parties on both that crossed over. The first one ran through, good strong bidding, nice start, good strong bidding. And we paused at 641, restarted. And then the bidding continued there until the fall of the hammer, 650,500. Nice bidding all the way through. I'm doing a real good job, I hope, of encouraging those bidders to keep going and not to give up. Second property, obviously we'd eliminated some of the interest because that person had bought on the first one. But we ran off again with a 520 start, a nice figure there. Ran through to 625 again, stepped off with the bidder at that stage. Worked with them, they came up another 5,000. We restarted, no further bidding in the room. That was the top price, and the hammer came down. So great process, a lot of attention to detail with 2 properties up, especially when the buyers are crossed over between them. But if somebody puts that great effort in, as John and Janice did there, then at auction we'll have those fantastic results. So really pleased with that. Well, joining us again now is Amy. Welcome, Amy. Amy, you're a financial planner, but also the owner of Wealthworks. And we had a really interesting chat about the equity people have in their homes, literally the wealth that's tied up behind the walls, releasing that and then getting some capital gain out of it. Can we pick up on that point and now talk about how do they do that? How do they get a capital gain?
How do we find capital gain? Yeah. Well, look, there's 2 key things, I guess, for people to consider.
Okay.
One is the type of property, and the other is the location. So, you know, when we're talking about capital gain, we need to understand that there is typically a trade-off between capital gain and income or yield. Okay. So, to give you an example of that, let's just say we're going to walk into Auckland City and we're going to buy an apartment for $450,000, and let's say we can rent that out for $500 a week.
Sure.
Now, $500 a week rent on a $450,000 purchase price, that's a pretty good income. If we compare that to going out into the suburbs somewhere and we're buying a 3-bedroom freestanding house on its own section, we might be paying $600,000 for that, and we might only get $500 a week rent. Now, the income is not so great from that freestanding property. However, you'd probably expect to get better capital gain from that property over time, because ultimately it's the land that appreciates in value, and the building or the dwelling itself actually depreciates in value over time.
Okay, cool. So you're talking there is a trade-off there, whether you're after the cash flow maybe, or if it's after that capital gain. Pick up on location. I think that's very interesting. Quite a key point there.
Yep. So I suppose one of the first things, if you're a first-time investor, you know, buying in the area that you live isn't necessarily the best place to buy for capital gain.
Good, I'm pleased you've said that. Good.
So we know that, you know, new development, new infrastructure is really good for capital gain. So it would pay to think about what that area is going to be like when you come time to sell the property, not necessarily what's there today. Now, if you know that there's new schools coming, new shopping malls, new employment, new roading, you know, all these things are really good to create good capital gain over time. So, you know, think about what's going to be there later down the track.
Because you, right from the start, you've said, and you know, the greatest people will always say this, it's a long-term plan, isn't it? We're not in and out, we're not flipping. So now you're picking up again on that and just saying, it's not what you see today, but where's it going to be further down the track? How does your capital growth come through,
Yeah. And if you can have a little bit of foresight into what's coming or what's going to be happening, you know, that's where you can get your better than average returns.
Which is pretty easy right now, isn't it? You know, Google, we can just go on and we can see, you know, what's planned or what's possibly coming and make some
have a lot
decisions.
Of information. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So you've now analysed an area and you're quite confident in it. If you're going to do a second one, or maybe a third or fourth, but if you're going to do the second one, do you do it in the same area? What's your thoughts there, Amy?
No, look, it would really pay to diversify across different areas. You know, just like you wouldn't put all of your eggs into one basket, you probably wouldn't want to put all your properties into the same location either.
Okay, so now you're talking about some security and spreading that risk. Give me more thoughts on that. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the common one, like obviously house insurance, contents insurance, landlord protection. You know, it's about $300 a year, and it just provides a lot of peace of mind in case you end up with one of those nightmare tenants. But, you know, think about the what ifs. You know, so what if I lost my job? What if interest rates went up? You know, what if I have some problems to my health and I can't work for a bit? You know, being able to think about, well, what are all the risks that I face? And with a little bit of forward planning, you can actually kind of, you know, work through how you would deal with those situations if it did arise.
So wider than just the house, isn't it? So, you know, some of that is the house, the tenant, what happens over here, but you're now saying, back on this side, if I'm the owner of this investment property, what if something happens over on this side?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Income protection?
Income protection, I think, is so important, and it's something that in general we overlook. You know, it's funny because, you know, everybody that I talk to, they wouldn't dream of not insuring their $800,000 house. You know, actually they wouldn't dream of not insuring their $20,000 car.
True.
You know, you think about how much your income is each year, you times that by the number of years that you've got left in the workforce until you hit 65, and you probably come out with a pretty big number, you know, and it might actually be bigger than the number of value in your house.
Than the house,
Yeah. So, you know, we don't insure our house because we think it's going to burn down. We insure it because we just can't afford to take that risk. We're not prepared to. So I kind of see income protection being a little bit the same way.
Being the same.
Yeah. So there's lots of different risks for people to consider, but really most of them can be worked through with just a little bit of forward planning.
Fantastic. Amy, so valuable, the information. So we're aware there can be a trade-off between the yield as opposed to the capital growth in the property. That's going to tie into the location on the property. And then once we've analysed the location looking forward in time, we've also got to think about security, risk on the property or even on ourselves. It's great having you here as a financial planner. I can see why everybody comes to you. So Amy, as always, thank you so much. Great having you back.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Cheers.
All right, well, joining us now is Lawrence, who is also one of our team members down in Ray White Mission Bay. So, Lawrence, I certainly enjoy working with you every day, and it's going to be a bit of fun sitting here being able to go through what you're doing in real estate. I think your story is really interesting because you're not just a licensed real estate salesperson, you've got something else on the go also.
Yeah, Wayne, as you say, I really enjoy working with you two on a daily basis. Yeah, look, I do real estate a little bit differently in comparison to most agents in the industry.
Yep.
I provide another service which is not just sales, but also on the rental business as well. So I do both, to cut long story short, sales and rentals.
And rentals, yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Well, you know, and that makes sense, I think, and you're very sharp on picking up on that with you are a chartered accountant also, so you've got a very good background in there. But when you saw the numbers side of the property management business, you really took an interest in that. How does it work, getting both sides of the coin taken care of with clients and relationships?
Yeah, look, I do have our colleagues in Mission Bay. They always come up to me and say, Lawrence, how do you do that? How do you do sales and rentals at the same time?
Yeah.
I guess I'm very lucky in the sense that I have very good staff. We have very good staff.
Yeah.
Ada, she manages
Yep.
the property really well. So normally I outsource that to her. She does what she's good at, and I do what I'm good at.
It's working really well, isn't it? So Ada's doing a great management role in there. You're involved in the letting.
That's right.
There's a crossover for your clients. I guess you could sell a house for them or you could let a house. You can certainly give that advice on what the rental potential is, I guess, in a property, yeah?
That's right. I see my job as relationship. My core product is
Fantastic.
relationship.
Fantastic.
I mean, I build relationship based on not just sales and rentals as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And we speak about this often, don't we? You know, long-term enduring relationships, that's the key to our business in our location. Yeah?
That's right.
Yeah, cool. Now, you've got those great relationships currently across certainly the eastern suburbs. You can sell anywhere in Auckland, yeah?
That's right. I have clients in the eastern suburbs, of course. Mission Bay, Remuera, Epsom, Parnell as well. Yes. So basically in Auckland.
That's a pretty good list of locations, isn't it? Everybody's going to go, I'd like to do my business in those suburbs.
Yeah, that's right.
What about outside of New Zealand? Give us a feel for your contacts there.
Yeah, very interesting because before I moved to New Zealand, basically, I spent a lot of time in Malaysia.
Okay.
So I'm fluent in Mandarin, Cantonese, and some of the Chinese dialect.
Wow.
I speak, to this day, I still speak dialect to my parents. It's a dialect called Hakka.
Okay.
It's not the New Zealand
Not
Hakka.
the New Zealand Hakka.
But it's a Chinese dialect. So I'm fluent, or as I said, Mandarin, Cantonese. My Malay is not as great as before, but you know, give me some time. I think I can still.
You might have to polish it up and have a
I might have to polish it up.
Yep.
But yeah, I do have clients in Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia and Singapore.
Yep.
And also China and Taiwan too. I mean, a lot of the clients that I meet here, and they're Chinese, and they fly back to China very often.
Yeah.
Shanghai, Beijing.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And we're going to get up there at some stage. We just need to
that's
find
right.
time in business, don't we?
Yeah, when you're free, Wayne, just waiting for you to, be free and let's go to China.
I don't know if it's going to be before Christmas or after Christmas, but we're definitely going there.
Yep.
I see the value in those relationships. So I guess your clients, they're getting the value across sales, they're getting the value across rentals.
That's right.
Multilingual, so you're very clear about processes, able to explain that to people. So deals you put together are good deals. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing.
That's right.
Fantastic. I'll see you back at work down in Mission Bay.
Yeah,
Great having you in here,
that's
Lawrence.
Right. Thanks, Wayne.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers. Well, thank you for being with us. I'm Wayne Maguire, and next week again I'll bring you those experts who will share their thoughts on how to buy, sell, and have property success here in New Zealand.